fact, when I first experienced Dreamer's products, I have a good impression. Domestically, as a startup brand in the handle industry, whether it is the workmanship materials or the tuning of software algorithms, they are very top-notch. Just last year, their armor was evaluated. X-Pro. As long as it is installed, it can make X3. The comprehensive experience is also very good. And now you see this handle. It is the Rainbow 2 Pro handle that has just come out at the end of the year, as the first product of the Zhongjia at the end of 2023. How does it perform? If nothing else, as soon as I open the package, the most real feeling is that the Rainbow generation is still in China. How is the second generation shape of the Fist ABS plastic material like this? Cold. The protrusion below will be rebuilt with continuous shots. Red recording and configuring 4 physical buttons. For players, it is indeed convenient. However, the final general also added a headphone jack. This feature, how much meaning do the students think? Of course, this is just my personal opinion. I don't know if you think it's good looking. Handle support PC, NS, Android and iOS platform action keys are arranged in an Xbox way. For PC players, it is more friendly, and a metal ring is also added to the joystick. There is no need to worry about powder falling off after using it for a long time. The most important thing is the joystick and arrow keys, which can also be further customized. 2 pairs of different heights are included in the box. Joystick cap and a solid D-pad. This is good news for players with different needs. There are 2 expansion buttons on the inside of the pointed point. In addition, the Arrest also had 2 expansion buttons and 2 gears of flight locks. I got a set plate so I can use the metal contacts on the back. Light up the translucent housing by charging the surrounding light strip inside through the base. Of course, the color can also be adjusted. Out of 10 points. You can't give many points for this appearance. In terms of feel, if you put aside this bulge, the rest is almost identical to the Xbox controller. So the grip is not bad, especially the anti-slip coating on the back. It still feels very comfortable. Action key. It uses conductive glue and feels relatively crisp. It is worth mentioning that the Inksmith's handle, whether it is a function button, a cross button, or an expansion button, all use the micro switch of rail driving, and none of them are overload sheets. Therefore, it should be better in terms of feel and life performance. At this stage, many manufacturers will use mechanical switches to describe their handles. But in fact, whether it's a microswitch or an overload sheet, they all belong to mechanical structures. What is the specific plan? I can only understand it in my own understanding. I am still relatively relieved about the joystick algorithm. After all, the last will be the earliest in China. Make a hand ice factory without dead joysticks. But this time the polishing gave me a big surprise. In my previous video, I said that there is a problem with the shape of the joystick. At this stage, the joystick is either round, square, or rounded square. And before, in general, the best thing is the way Xbox polishes the rounded squares. But this time, a new algorithm will be used. The entire joystick ensures diagonal triggering, further reduced the depth of the outer ring. In FPS games, students can try the somatosensory pressure gun shooting experience. In addition, the Ink Gun engine rocker is in wired mode. The return rate is set at 500 Hz wireless state. There is 200 Hz, although it is not worth mentioning compared to the mouse, but for the controller, without overclocking, it's already good to do this. When the waist bar leaves the factory, the center point is still a tiny death by default. For those who mainly play FPS, it can be set to no death mode through the app. Of course, if you don't play FPS games, it is still recommended to keep this dead zone and not pursue it too much, because some games drift too easily. Generally speaking, the polishing of the last general's joystick belongs to the T0 level at this stage. Next, let's disassemble the machine and see the internal workmanship. This time, the Rainbow 2 Pro still inherits the last general. The fine tradition of workmanship is still very fine. Independent battery compartment, full welder rocker, Holben plug is a motor. The PCB material is also very good. The wave fiber material used, although the thickness is not at its maximum, but there is no big problem in terms of strength, and the internal structural design can also give the PCB a certain support. In terms of joysticks, the joysticks of Arby's used in this Rainbow 2 Pro this time. However, this handle is equipped with the global dynamic calibration method developed by the last general. That is, the ability to lock the stick through the algorithm. Leaving it always near the center point does not create a larger offset, causing drift. In fact, this technology cannot be tested and experienced by the new controller. It can only be felt with the accumulation of time of use. Finally, let's take a look at the additional features of this handle. players can download the app from their mobile phones to set up relevant functions, whether it's a linear value adjustment of the rocker trigger or a change. RGB color, motor. There are no problems with basic operations such as vibration adjustment and key replacement. The mapping and redness recording sensation can also be set and adjusted. The design of the entire app is relatively simple. I won't go into too much detail here. This wireless receiver is also very powerful. It can actually make the Rainbow 2 Pro support the Xbox Series, Xbox One, and PS4 platforms. That is, it is not just a receiver but also a converter made by the host platform only needs to connect the original handle to testify at home. It can achieve real multi-purpose use in one Pi, and it feels very convenient. The feeling that the Rainbow 2 Pro gave me at the end of this time, more like a competitive controller for high-end players, whether it's a 500 Hz refresh rate or an original outer ring algorithm. All are tailored for high-level players. So, in other words, for ordinary players it may not mean much. However, the dynamic return is more accurate than the algorithm. If it can stand the test of the market, then this product is still worth buying. After all, even if you only look at the hardware itself, it will be the end. Rainbow 2 Pro is also worthy of the price of 300 yuan.